the core insight of the book is that not all loves are the same. And he starts actually from a couple different angles on this, but you could look at this example for something we all know from grade school, from primary school. Oh, I love this chocolate bar. And oh yeah, well, why don't you marry it? Right? That's again this confusion of love doesn't always mean the same thing. You can love the chocolate bar, although many people will object that no, you don't love the chocolate bar. You love a person or a being, but you like the chocolate bar, or whatever. And Lewis actually addresses this in his his introduction in his first chapter, and he argues that actually these things are a little bit closer. They're a little bit more of a continuum than they're generally given credit for. But I'll cover that in my next slide. But he says he actually started from another thesis than he actually goes forward with in the book, and that is, he initially started from the idea that you have two things that are called love, and only one of them really is love. And so he talks about how there's need love, where you feel the need to be loved by others, and you go seeking that love. And then there's gift love, where you give of yourself to another. And he initially started his project on this by basically presuming that really only the latter, only gift love, should be worthy of the title of love, and need love is really something else. He eventually, as he was working on the project, he says he came to conclude that was simply wrong, that both sides of the equation, both the need and the receipt of love and the giving of love, are actually two sides of an equation that is actually love on both sides. And so he then went back and reoriented himself to the subject matter and came to something that he felt was much more robust. And so the thesis of the book ends up being that humanity experiences and is enthralled by a variety of natural loves that ultimately depend on divine love to sustain and guide them. So, and this is that secondary insight that natural loves that are allowed to become gods do not remain loves, but can in fact become complicated, or become in fact complicated forms of hatred. And in each of his examples, then, he gives a description of what this natural love is, and then how it works sort of at its best. And then he discusses its various forms of abuse, and how it essentially becomes something other than love when it isn't supported by something else. And he sort of leaves that something else to the end. But each natural love, and this is the basic idea of the book, is that each natural love has its own proper sphere in which it operates. And if that natural love is allowed to become overly consuming, that actually poisons everything and it ceases to be love. So that's where he goes with this. Now, the book itself, the lectures initially, it's based on 4 loves, as we'll see, but he actually has 5 chapters, because he begins with a chapter on the likings and loves for the subhuman. And this is where he starts by, discussing love and like, and he says there's continuity between the two. And, initially he might have left this out, but he says, no, when you look at this and you examine it more closely, the difference between like and love this is not just a matter of degree. It's not really a matter of kind, but they kind of work together in a way that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to draw that line in most cases. So he argues that really that distinction doesn't hold up too well, that natural loves actually in many ways grow out of or are deeply tied into what we might call like, and a very strong like is akin to love, so you kind of have to treat them the same. But he does here start with something else, he says, that is important to note, and that is that people can and do love things that are not human, that are subhuman, that are not even animal, that people love abstract ideas in certain cases, or just entities, things, immaterial, just material things, these sorts of things. People do love those. And he actually divides the kinds of like or love that you might have in these contexts into three categories, which then sort of work through the rest of the book. And that is need love, gift love, and then appreciation.
Our 1-hour webinars are monthly on the third Thursday, and are designed to equip you with historical, scientific, and philosophical reasons for believing that Christianity is true. Our webinars are free and are open to the public, so feel free to invite your friends. If you go to ratiochristi.org/webinars, most of our monthly webinars will feature a presenter from within Ratio Christi. However, we'd like to bring in special non-Ratio Christi presenters on a quarterly basis, so stay tuned for what those are going to be.